So today's job is going to be to change steering rod ends on my 98 Dodge Dakota. It's got the 318 5.2 with the 5-speed NV 3500, and it's 2-wheel drive, so this shouldn't be too bad. This is actually my second attempt. I got the wrong parts the first time, so I had to reorder. Here's what they look like. Get this bag open. There's a little empty baggie for some reason, but yeah, they look kind of like this. Got your castle nut on top, you know, whatever. Focus, thank you. Grease zerk that'll go on the bottom, which actually, let me see if this bag has it in there. Yep, it does. Not only does it have a grease zerk, it's also got another cotter pin and whatever this is. Oh, has a new jam nut to go on the sorry, keep this in frame. New jam nut to go on the steering rod, so that's cool. We'll use all of that stuff. I like that the grease zerk is an angled jobber. I'm looking in there, I see a little bit of grease, but not too much. Focus, why? Right up in your face, you think you would focus. Anyway, I like that it's angled because it's going to sit under the truck upright like that. So it'll be nice if I can come in with a grease gun, focus from this way rather than trying to hit it directly from the bottom, because there's often not a lot of room underneath. But anyway, yeah, we're going to get the truck up in the air. The dogs are going to bark. And yeah, see if we can get them changed. Should come apart pretty easy because I've already had it apart. Hey, Mealy. What you doing, Mealy? Neighbor dog, Mealy. Huh? Here. Where you going? Where you going, Mealy? Where you going? I want to be in the video. I'll be in the video. Huh? Now she's running around like a loony. Look at her go. Alrighty, so I wanted to get the front wheels off the ground. I'd like to do this without having to take the actual wheels off, so we'll see if that works out. Alright, so here's what we're going to change. I don't know if you guys can see, but the rubber boot's completely ripped open. Might not be too easy to do this without taking the wheel off. There we go. Fortunately, I had the foresight to only bend one of the legs on the pin. Let's see if we can do this without a ratchet. Oh yeah. Let's make sure we can bust this other nut loose. Oh yeah. You know, now that I'm looking at it, I don't think there's going to be enough room to get that out without taking the wheel off. So nice try, but I think the wheel's going to have to come off. We're going to have to rearrange here. Alone sometime, I can't stop loving you. It's useless to say, so on dreams of yesterday. I'm just going to knock them loose because I don't think they're in there that well. Obviously don't hammer on the end if you're going to try to put the old ones back in. But I have faith that these new ones are the right ones. So one thing I'm going to do is put this nut right at the bottom, and I'm going to kind of compare the size of both of these. It looks like they're pretty much the same length. So if I leave the nut there while I take this off, then I can thread this one back in to where that nut's at, and I should be fairly close as far as alignment wise. But we're going to do an alignment later too, so no big deal. As you can see, that boot's completely gone, but the ball joint's still tight, surprisingly. There we go. It's not so bad. So I'm going to go grab my grease gun. I'm going to put a little grease on these threads and then also on here. Yeah, I guess regular wheel grease. So don't have to go crazy, but get a little grease down on the threads. At least I keep bumping into that nut, so I'm sure my alignment's out of whack by now. And I'm just going to scrape the rest of it off into this device. Alright, let's see. I'm going to tighten that grease zerk before I get too much farther. I know I want it to face in. Think it's got another turn in it? Maybe. I don't know if you guys can even see anything. So I think I need to go a little farther if I can. Getting pretty tight. Okay, I think that'll kind of push forward and down. So I should be able to get to it even with the wheel on. Not that I really plan on greasing it after the first time, but sounds good anyway. So the problem with the last set that I bought was this shaft was a lot longer, taller, whatever you want to call it, and it would fit in there, but it made the overall width of the joint and this top shaft, because the shaft was longer, the joint stuck down farther. So it stuck down, like this part stuck down like another, probably like 3/4 of an inch. And the problem with that is the rim's so close that it ended up hitting the rim, which I think would be fine if I had 16-inch wheels, but since I have the stock 15s, or I think some of them were stock 16s, but mine was not. It just has 15s. And I think because of that, the larger one didn't work. So I had to send a message to the guy, tell him that they weren't the right size, and then he's like, that this was eBay, not a sponsor. Then he was like, yeah, I know the ones you need, I'll get them sent. So yeah, it was pretty simple. It wasn't a bad experience or anything. So something to think about before you just start cranking this down is what's the orientation of the holes going through that bolt, because you're going to have to put a pin through it. So this would be the opportunity if I wanted to turn it a little. I could push it back out and turn it, but I think the way it looks is probably fine. You'll see here in a second. I've got it where I can put the pin through that way and bend it on the back, or I could go the other way and bend the legs on the front. But anyway, we're going to tighten her down. I don't know what the suggested torque specs are for this, so we're just going to go good and tight. Is that it? Oh yeah. All right. And it's that easy. I'm going to leave the nut loose because we're going to do an alignment right after this. So, front driver's side. But anyway, that joint, like I say, it's still tight. I put a little bit more grease in it, but it was nearing the end. So you guys understand how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and do this is the driver's side. I'm going to go ahead and do the passenger side on my own. The only thing left to do is put some grease in there, and hopefully you guys know how to do that because I'm not going to show you. All right, for our alignment, I've gone around the block to a parking lot because you need a fairly flat surface. Doesn't have to be level, but at least fairly flat. These are what I've fixed up for my alignment system. They've been working pretty well. The biggest drawback is these bungee cords really aren't bungee. Like, that's as much like rubber as they still have. So I bought some new best bungee cords Dollar General has to offer because I didn't want to run all the way into town. And yeah, so these are basically just a laser level. So the laser shoots out there, and I've just got them zip tied, as you can tell. And then this used to be a 4-foot level that I sacrificed, I guess. Because you need to be able to put this on the edge of the rim on either side. So I've got zip ties holding that, and that makes it adjustable. So you can slide it in and out, kind of like so. And then the bungee cords go around to hold it onto the wheel. So we're going to stick the batteries in these and see if they still work. So obviously you want the laser pointing forward, and then you just got to kind of size them up. I like to put them on the edge of the bead of the rim, if you will. So kind of like that. And then if you're on level ground, you can actually use these levels that are in there to kind of help get it leveled forward and backward, but very rarely am I on level ground. So let's see here. So what I'm going to do is tie a knot in this thing because it's a little bit long. Hopefully that'll take up some of its slack. Keep in mind, these are new bungees. I haven't used them before. Honestly, that'll probably work. Yeah, I think that'll be fine. The next thing I have, I made a couple of these. They're just a piece of plywood, 1/4 inch, like cabinet backing. Then I screwed a couple of these on the bottom so it'll stand, kind of like so. Ignore that. I wrote that on there a while back, but I don't think that's right. We'll find out. So I'm not sure if you're able to see that or not. But there's a laser light out on the boards. Let me take you out there. So still not sure you'll be able to see it, but there's a little red dot right there. So next, since I'm by myself, I'm going to put a screw in the panel on the left, right where that laser light is. All right. Now I can measure off of that screw to the point on the right board, the board on the right, and get a measurement, and then we're going to go up close to the truck and get a measurement there. $86.25. So I think this is close. That's 82 3/8. So 86.25, 82 3/8. That means it's 4 inches too wide. So we need to pull the front of the wheels closer together. So the other thing we need to contend with is the steering wheel isn't straight. I pulled straight into the parking lot, but getting the truck to go in a straight line, you have to hold the steering wheel right about where it's at. So we also need to correct that issue. So what I'm seeing is the steering wheel needs to turn to the right. So let me think about this for a second. I should be able to make adjustments on just one of the two sides. So we're going to only tighten the right side, passenger side tie rod, and that should help correct our steering direction. So I'm gonna loosen that jam nut a little bit. This would be easier if I could get two hands in here. All right. See if that decides it wants to twist or not. All right, so we definitely need to tighten it up. All right, let's start over. Half, 1, half, 2. So we'll get a measurement up close again before we go out for distance. $81 3/8. It's 81 3/8. I'm thinking that's going to be in the ballpark if this number I wrote on there is close. I've got right at 81, so if anything we came in a little too much. But before I just say, yeah, that's what it is, I'm going to back the truck up about 100 feet, and I'm going to pull back forward, and then we're going to see if the measurement changes, and also see if we moved it far enough that the steering wheel is straight. Well, I can tell the steering wheel isn't right, but it seems to be going pretty straight. I mean, even if the steering wheel's not. So we'll back up and go ahead and mess with it a little bit more. So I'm gonna back straight up, and then I'm gonna pull straight forward, or at least try to. That way we get an idea of how out of whack the steering wheel is. Should be right in there somewhere. All right, so like I said, the truck's pulled up straight, but the wheel is still a little bit to the left. So also we're still a little bit narrow in the front. So first we're going to try to straighten the wheel. So the wheel needs to go right, so we need to tighten the passenger side and we need to loosen the driver's side. And I'm thinking like a half turn or maybe a 3/4. So this is the passenger side. We're going to tighten about a 3/4. There's a half. Nah, my nut isn't loose enough. There's a 3/4. I think I'm going to tighten that jam nut a little bit. Something like that. So since I haven't adjusted this one yet, I got to take that clamp loose. This is the driver's side, by the way. All right. So this one we need to loosen a 3/4 turn, since this is the driver's side. I'm going to flip my wrench. So we need to loosen. Yes. There's a half. There's a 3/4. Then I'm going to go ahead and snug this down, this jam nut down a little bit. I don't need to go crazy. Just enough to take any slack out of the threads. That way it doesn't mess with our measurement. So now we're going to back it up onto the road again and pull back forward and see if that fixed the angle of the steering wheel. And if it did, then we're going to measure again and see if we need to go make any more adjustments for the alignment. I honestly don't mind it being towed in a little bit, as long as it's not too crazy. So I backed the truck out onto the road one more time and pulled down the block, and I think it's perfect as far as square or very close. So now we're just going to double check the alignment, the spacing between the wheels. I'm showing 81 3/8 still, so we'll measure up close one more time. I'm showing 81 1/4, so I guess that 81 1/4 that I wrote on there is pretty close. I'd rather have it towed in just a little bit, but honestly, I think that's close enough. It doesn't really matter. We're just going to leave it there. We'll go for a quick spin around the block or something, get it up to highway speed and see how it handles, if it's polling or anything like that, but should be in good shape. think I got you guys turned enough you can see the steering wheel and still see the road, hopefully. I mean, it doesn't really seem to be pulling. Maybe just a little bit to the right. I don't know, nothing bad. That could just be the angle of the road. Seems to be, like the wheel seems to be pretty straight. So I think it's probably good enough. So we made it back home, and yeah, I'd say the alignment, it's worked out pretty well. Still a little slap in my steering. I think that U-joint in the steering column is messed up. You might have heard it in previous videos or this video. When I turn, you can hear it kind of click, 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 clack or whatever. So I think whatever plays still in there is that. Because I've changed the rack, I've changed the tie rod ends, I've changed the upper and lower ball joints, I've changed the hubs. So like most of the front end components are all new. The only thing is the shaft going down to the rack hasn't been messed with. But anyway, closing thoughts. I like the way that alignment works. It does take some time because you're constantly moving back and forth to get measurements and making little changes and measuring again. You know, if you had a however many $1,000 alignment rack machine, I'm sure you would be able to knock out an alignment in 15 minutes. But for what I do, my time not really being worth much, I think it does a good job. Now, obviously, it only sets the toe, I guess, of the alignment. It's not setting like the camber, which isn't a big deal on this truck because it doesn't really change. But on newer cars, I know by adjusting the tie rod ends, you also adjust the camber a little bit. So, I mean, I'm sure you could probably do some kind of levels or something on the wheels upright and try and make it work, but for what I'm doing, it works fine, and it saves me 80 or 100 or better dollars to go get it aligned, plus setting up the appointment and being on that guy's schedule. This allows me to do it on my own. And I think the most expensive part was the laser levels, where like, I think they were, trying to remember if they were $50 a piece or $45. And then the level, the 4-foot level that I cut up for the frame was maybe another, about like the cheapest aluminum one they had, might have been another 20 bucks or something. So, I mean, by the time you did one, maybe two alignments, you've already broken even on the cost of the device, not including your time. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this. Hello everyone, I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm always surprised when I stumble upon a YouTube creator who has millions of subscribers and has been producing videos for years, completely unknown to me. I would like to help correct this issue by giving some of my favorite creators a shout out during my videos. To that end, I would like to take this opportunity to spotlight one of my fellow YouTube creators, someone I personally subscribe to. If you find my content interesting, please consider going down to the video's description and follow the link I have placed there. The link will take you to today's chosen creator. But for now, please stay tuned for any bloopers related to this video. Thank you, everyone. So today's project is going to be to change tie rod ends, steering tie rod ends, in the front of this, and start over. What I'm seeing is the steering wheel needs to turn to the right. So let me think about this for a second. I should be able to make adjustments on just one of the two sides. So if I pull the left wheel in, would that be the right direction or would that be the wrong direction? If I pull so it's going like this right now. I need to shift it this way. Then I would have to turn it. Okay, so I need to shift it towards the direction that the steering wheel is turned. So we need to go in, right? There's a half turn, one turn, and already I see a problem. Let me get a let me back that back off.